When the land was created and there was land, the little duck and the sun stood on the land and looked around. They heard a wolf howling to the east. The wolf wanted to lift so much that it came alive with just a little magic from the sun, some little creation energy, and it became alive. And he said, "There is a wolf, so he will help us." And then immediately they heard another howl, and it was a coyote that was howling in the distance. The sun said, "That must be Old Man Coyote. He has come because he knows I want to create people and land and all sorts of things on the land, and he will come and when I make people, he will try to fool the people and try to make them do things that I don't want them to do." So he turned to the little duck and he slapped him on his chest, and then he said, "From now on, I will call you Sheeta Bay. That will be your name. And you will be a nemesis to Old Man Coyote. Whatever he tries to make my people do, you will do the opposite." And so they will not be doing some things that I don't want them to do. And so they called the wolf, and the wolf came. The sun sent the wolf to the west, and he said, "Go to the west and create the animals that you like." And he said, "But before you go, I will create different things that we need on the land." And then he created the plants and the trees and the hills and the mountains. And then he told the wolf, "Go and create the things that are needed. Create some animals." And so the wolf went to the west, and then as he went along, he was so anxious to create things that he ran as fast as he could. And he created tall mountains and then tall trees. And he created a lot of pine trees. And then he created rivers and lakes. And then he went so fast that he forgot some places and they became deserts. And then after that he said, "I'll create animals that like to run because I like to chase animals. I like to chase and run." And then he created the buffalo. And then he created the elk, the deer, the antelope, and all sorts of things that like to run. And then he said, "I will need help when I chase these animals." So he created the mountain lion, the bobcat, and the foxes. And then he created all sorts of animals that live inside the earth. As he was creating these things, the sun sent the little duck, Sheeta Bay, to the south. He said, "Go and create the things that you like." And so the little duck went to the south, and then he created all sorts of birds. And then he said, "I will make trees, a lot of trees, so that the birds can fly around them and live in the trees." And then he said, "I will create tall mountains in the west so that it will stop the weather from the rain and the winds so that my birds can live peacefully." So he created tall mountains, and he created huge rivers and lakes. And so there were a lot of birds. And then he said, "I will have to create something that the birds can eat." So he created reptiles and insects. And in the beginning, the reptiles and the insects were only in the south. And then the sun looked at the west and the south, and he liked what was created. So he went to the east and created the same things, but in moderation. Mountains that are not too tall and lakes. And then while he was creating this, the wolf came back and looked to the north, and there was nothing there. And he said, "Well, we forgot to create things where the winds come. I'll have to go really fast and create things." And then he went and created mountains and hills and rivers and lakes and plants and trees and all the things that he created in the west. And then he created the same kind of animals. But then the moment of creation had passed before he finished. And that's why we have snow in the north all the time. And then when they came back, after creating all these things, they looked at it and they said, this is what we have done is really good. All the things that we created will thrive. And so they looked around, they wandered around, and finally the son said, there is something wrong here. All the things that we created either crawl on the earth or fly, and the animals have 4 legs and all they can do is look down on the ground. They don't look up to see the universe and wonder about things. Let's create something that can walk firmly on the ground and at the same time look and think and feel and look at the universe and see the powerful things that are going on. And so they came to the Yellowstone, the Red Mountain at the Yellowstone Lake. They took some red mud. And then the son created the first man. He created the man and then breathed on him. And then he took his hand and made him come alive. And so there was only one man in the beginning. And because he was made from the red earth, they called him Red Earth. And so the man wandered around and was able to live in harmony with the animals. He could communicate with the animals, and so he walked. He was contented for a long time, and then finally, the sun kept watching him, and then the man one day was not around. He could not see him. He looked all the animals and did not notice the man wandering around the animals. And then he saw him lying under a tree. And then he looked around and he said, there is something wrong with my son. And then he said, I know what it is. I created everything, and there is an opposite of everything that I created. I created day and I created night. And I created warmth and I created cold. And I created water and I created land. Everything that I created has an opposite of what I created. And I forgot to create the opposite of the man. And so while the man was lying down, he made him sleep, and then he came down and took one of his ribs. And then he created the woman. And then when he created the woman, he came down and he took them to a high hill on the Yellowstone. He took them to a high hill, and there was a buffalo on the other side of the hill. And he said, these are the things that you will need to survive. They will provide you food, shelter, tools, and even spiritual help when you need it. It is everything. There is everything in the buffalo. And as long as the buffalo survive, you will also survive.